The night sky over New Horizon Colony glowed with unfamiliar colors. Jack Nelson stood outside his workshop, eyes fixed upward at the strange ribbons of purple and green light. In his 45 years, 15 of them spent on this distant world, he had never seen anything like it. Recording atmospheric anomaly, day 214 of colony year 51. Jack spoke into his worn data tablet. He still maintained the records, even though Earth had stopped responding to their transmissions decades ago. New Horizon sat nestled between rocky hills and vast plains on Proxima Centauri. Once, it had been humanity's proudest achievement, their first colony among the stars. Now it was just 5,000 forgotten people clinging to survival on the edge of nowhere. Jack tucked the tablet into his jacket pocket and made his way toward the colony center. The evening air carried a chill that seeped through his patched clothing. Around him, the settlement hummed with evening activity. People nodded as he passed. Everyone knew Jack, the engineer who kept their ancient equipment running, the historian who remembered Earth. The main hall was already crowded when Jack arrived. Colony leader Susan Wright stood at the front, her gray hair pulled back tightly, deep lines marking her weathered face. At 52, she had spent most of her adult life leading these people. "Let's get started," Susan called, and the room quieted. "I've gathered you all because I have news. Not good news." Jack found a spot near the back wall, next to his friend Olivia Martinez. The colony doctor gave him a tight smile. "The long-range communications array has failed completely," Susan announced. "We've been trying repairs for weeks, but it's beyond salvage. Without replacement parts, we have no way to broadcast beyond our atmosphere." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. An older man stood up. "Earth abandoned us 50 years ago. What difference does it make if we can't call out to a dead frequency?" Susan's face hardened. "Because we don't know it's dead, Bill. We don't know anything about Earth anymore. The solar flare that cut communications could have been temporary. They could be looking for us. Or they could be gone. Someone else called. We have to face facts. We're on our own." Jack watched the faces around him. Resignation, fear, anger. Most of the colonists were born here. They had never seen Earth except in old videos. After the meeting broke up, Jack approached Susan. "I might be able to salvage some components from the old mining outpost," he offered. Susan shook her head. "We stripped that clean years ago. But thanks, Jack." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "How's the historical archive holding up?" "Still intact. Future generations will know where we came from, at least." As they spoke, Kyle Bennett rushed into the hall. The former military officer now headed their small security team. His face was flushed from running. "Susan, Jack, you need to see this," he gasped. They followed him outside. The strange lights in the sky had intensified, now swirling in a circular pattern. As they watched, a bright flash burst through the center. "What is that?" Susan whispered. Jack's data tablet beeped. He pulled it out, frowning at the readings. Some kind of energy signature. Nothing natural. The crowd gathered around them. All eyes turned skyward. The circular disturbance expanded, and something began to emerge from its center. "Get everyone to shelter," Kyle ordered, his military training taking over. Now, Jack stood frozen, watching as a massive shape pushed through the disturbance. Its dark hull reflected the colony's lights as it descended through the atmosphere. After 50 years of isolation, something had found them. But it wasn't Earth. The object was clearly a ship, but unlike any human design. Its surface gleamed with an oily iridescence, and strange protrusions jutted from its hull at odd angles. It moved with deliberate precision, slowing as it dropped lower. "They told us no one would come," Olivia whispered beside him. "They said we were too far, too insignificant." Jack couldn't tear his eyes away from the alien vessel. "They were wrong," he said simply. And in that moment, everything changed for the forgotten people of New Horizon. The alien ship hovered above New Horizon, casting a shadow that seemed to swallow the colony whole. It Its massive hull stretched nearly half a mile long, with strange pulsing lights running along its sides. "Everyone get inside. Now," Kyle shouted, his voice cutting through the stunned silence. The colonists scattered, rushing toward their homes and community buildings. Jack stayed rooted beside Susan, his tablet recording everything. "We need to see what they do," he said quietly. "Knowledge is our only advantage here." Susan nodded, her face pale but determined. "Kyle, get our defense team together. Whatever we have, guns, tools, anything." Kyle gave a sharp nod and ran toward the security building, shouting orders to the men and women who followed him. "What do you think they want?" Olivia asked, joining Jack and Susan as they watched the ship. Jack shook his head. "In 50 years, we've never detected any sign of intelligent life. Why now? Why here?" The ship began to descend further, settling about 5 miles from the colony's edge. The ground shook as it touched down, a deep vibration that rattled windows and knocked items from shelves. Inside the colony's control center, Amy Fisher worked frantically at the communication station. At 35, she had spent her entire career trying to talk to the stars. Now something from those stars had arrived, and she had no idea how to respond. "I'm picking up signals," she called as Jack and Susan entered. "Nothing like I've ever seen. Not on any frequency we use." Jack leaned over her shoulder, studying the patterns on her screen. "Can you isolate it? Maybe find some pattern." Before Amy could answer, alarms blared throughout the colony. On the security monitors, they watched as smaller craft separated from the main ship, sleek, predatory vessels that skimmed low over the ground toward them. "Scout ships," Kyle said as he rushed into the room, carrying an assortment of weapons, 5 of them, headed straight for us. Susan took charge immediately. "Kyle, position your people at the perimeter. Jack, get to the archives. Find anything about first contact protocols. Olivia, prepare the medical center." She paused, looking each of them in the eye. "Whatever happens next, remember we are the last of New Horizon. We stand together." As they moved to follow her orders, a blinding light flashed outside. One of the scout ships had fired something at the colony's power station. The lights flickered and died. In the darkness, Jack fumbled for his emergency light. "Backup generators should kick in soon," he said. When the lights returned, they were dimmer, running on limited power. Jack made his way through the panicked colonists to the archive building. Inside, he activated the old computer systems that stored the colony's knowledge. "First contact protocols," he muttered, searching through files that hadn't been accessed in decades. Finally, he found what he needed: Earth's old guidelines for encountering alien life. The document was simple: attempt communication, show peaceful intentions, but prepare defenses. Earth had never actually met aliens, so these were just theories from scientists who had never faced the reality. Outside, one of the scout ships landed at the colony's edge. Jack watched through the archive window as a section of its hull slid open. A tall figure emerged, its body covered in what looked like dark, segmented armor. Its movements were fluid but wrong somehow, too many joints bending in unexpected ways. Kyle and 3 security officers approached cautiously, weapons raised but not aimed directly at the visitor. The alien stopped, its helmet tilting as it studied the humans. Then, with startling speed, it raised a device. Kyle and his team were thrown backward by an invisible force. They hit the ground hard as the alien advanced toward the fallen humans. 2 more scout ships landed, disgorging similar figures. They moved with purpose, ignoring the colonists who fled before them. Instead, they headed for the colony's food storage and water treatment facility. Jack realized with sudden clarity: they weren't here for communication or peace. They were here to take. Chaos erupted across New Horizon. The aliens moved through the colony with ruthless efficiency, gathering food stores and examining the water systems. They showed no interest in communication, pushing aside anyone who stood in their way with invisible force blasts from their handheld devices. Jack ran from the archives, tablet clutched tightly. He found Kyle struggling to his feet, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "They're not here to talk," Kyle said grimly, checking his weapon. 3 colonists already taken. Loaded them into one of those scout ships like cargo. Jack helped Kyle stand. "We need to fall back. Regroup. We can't fight them head-on." They hurried through back alleys between buildings, avoiding the main paths where aliens prowled. When they reached the old maintenance tunnels beneath the colony, they found Susan had already established a command center. "Report," she demanded as they entered. "Aliens are taking our supplies and our people," Kyle said. "They have weapons unlike anything we've seen. Energy-based, non-lethal so far, but powerful." Olivia looked up from where she was treating an injured colonist. Why take people alive? Nobody wanted to answer that question. Jack connected his tablet to the colony's backup system. "I found something in the archives. 20 years before communication was lost, Earth was developing defensive technologies. The plans were included in our colony data package as a precaution." He displayed schematics on the main screen. "It's a disruption field, designed to interfere with energy-based systems." Peter Lang, the colony's young tech expert, studied the designs with growing excitement. "We could build this. Most of the components are in our repair shops." Susan nodded. "Kyle, take whoever you need and get those parts. Jack, Peter, make this happen." As they prepared to leave, Amy burst into the room. "I've been monitoring their communications. I can't understand the language, but I'm picking up patterns in their transmissions." "Show me," Jack said. Amy displayed the signal patterns on her portable unit. "They send regular pulses back to the main ship. I think it's a status update." Peter's eyes widened. "If we could interrupt or alter those signals." "First things first," Susan cut in. "We need that disruption field." Kyle assembled a team of 6 colonists. They moved through the maintenance tunnels to access different parts of the colony undetected. Each team had a list of components to retrieve. Jack and Peter worked from the hidden command center, preparing to assemble the device once the parts arrived. The atmosphere was tense, punctuated by reports of more colonists being taken. "Why now?" Olivia asked as she helped Jack sort through some electrical components. "After 50 years alone, why did they appear just after our communications array failed completely?" Jack paused. Maybe it didn't fail. Maybe it was sabotage. The idea sent a chill through the room. 3 hours later, most components had arrived. 2 colonists hadn't returned from their missions. Kyle's face was grim when he delivered the final parts. "We lost Joe and Fran. Aliens caught them in the power center." Nobody spoke as Peter and Jack assembled the device. It was crude compared to the schematics, a cobbled-together mess of parts never meant to work together. "Will it work?" Susan asked when they finished. Peter wiped sweat from his brow. "In theory, but the range is limited. Maybe 100 yards at most." "That's enough to test it," Kyle said. He loaded his weapon. "I'll take it to the nearest scout ship." "Not alone," Jack insisted. "I'm going to," said Megan Ross, the colony's youngest engineer. She was only 24, born on New Horizon. "I understand how the device works best." Susan looked at their determined faces and nodded. "Be careful. We can't lose any more people." As night fell, Jack, Kyle, and Megan crept toward the scout ship parked at the colony's edge. 2 aliens stood guard, their armored forms gleaming in the moonlight. Kyle positioned himself behind a storage container, weapon ready. Jack and Megan approached from the opposite side, the disruption device humming softly between them. "On my mark," Kyle whispered through their communicators. 3, 2, 1. Megan activated the device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien's armor began to spark and twitch. The guards collapsed to the ground, their systems failing. "It works," Megan whispered. Kyle rushed forward. "Let's get inside before more come." The scout ship's door stood open. Inside, they found something they didn't expect: a path to fighting back. Inside the alien scout ship, Jack, Kyle, and Megan moved cautiously. The interior was oddly organic, with surfaces that seemed to pulse with faint light. Strange symbols covered the walls, flowing patterns that shifted subtly as they watched. "Don't touch anything yet," Jack warned as Megan reached toward a blinking control panel. In the rear of the vessel, they found 5 colonists suspended in transparent chambers. Their eyes were closed, but their chests rose and fell with shallow breaths. "They're alive," Kyle said, examining the nearest chamber that held Sam Fletcher, one of the farmers. Megan studied the control panel beside the chambers. "I think these are stasis pods. But why take them alive?" Before anyone could answer, they heard a wet, sliding sound. All 3 turned to see an alien emerging from a hidden compartment in the wall. Unlike the others, this one wore no armor, only a thin, form-fitting suit that revealed its true shape. The creature was taller than a human, with grayish-blue skin that glistened as if wet. Its limbs bent at odd angles, and its head featured no visible eyes, only sensory pits around a small mouth filled with needle-like teeth. "Keep the disruptor on," Kyle shouted, raising his weapon. The alien made a series of clicking sounds, backing away from the disruption field. It seemed weaker without its armor, its movements less certain. "It's afraid," Jack realized. He gestured for Kyle to lower his weapon slightly. "We need information more than we need another casualty." Kyle kept his gun trained on the alien but didn't fire. Jack approached slowly, the disruptor held before him like a shield. "Why are you taking our people?" Jack asked, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand. He pointed to the stasis pods, then back to the alien. "Why?" The creature tilted its head, sensory pits flaring. Then it reached for a device on its belt, a small translucent tube. It pressed a button, and the tube projected symbols into the air. Megan moved closer, fascinated. "It's trying to communicate." Jack connected his tablet to Amy's communication database. While they couldn't understand the alien language, perhaps patterns would emerge. He held up the tablet, displaying human writing. "Colony. New Horizon. Earth." The alien studied the words, then pressed more buttons on its device. The projected symbols changed. "I think it's a translation program," Jack said. "But it needs more data." For the next hour, they engaged in a primitive exchange. The alien projected symbols. They responded with words. Gradually, the alien's device began matching concepts to human language. Finally, the device produced broken English. "You humans. Not dead." Surprise. Jack exchanged shocked glances with the others. "You know humans. You know Earth." The alien's response came slowly. "All humans gone. Long time. Galaxy records say extinct." The revelation hit them like a physical blow. The aliens believe humanity was extinct. "Earth not gone," Jack said carefully. "New Horizon not alone." The alien's reaction was immediate. It backed against the wall, sensory pits flaring wide. Its device translated. "Not possible. Great fleet destroyed Earth." Centuries passed. Kyle stepped forward, anger on his face. "What fleet? Who are you?" "We Kreven," came the translation. "We find resources. Take specimens before extinction. Study. Preserve." Megan's eyes widened as she looked at the stasis pods. "They're not killing the colonists. They're collecting them. Like samples." The Kraven's next words confirmed their fears. "Last humans valuable. Will bring good price to collectors." Jack felt cold anger rise within him. "We're not specimens. We're not extinct." The aliens seemed confused by their resistance. "More ships coming. 3 moon cycles. We'll collect all humans left." Kyle grabbed Jack's arm. "We need to get this information back to Susan. Now." As they prepared to leave, Jack noticed Nancy Carter, the elderly colony historian, among the suspended colonists. She had specialized in ancient languages and communication. "We need to take her with us," Jack said, pointing to Nancy's pod. "She might be able to communicate better with them." The Kraven moved suddenly, reaching for a control panel. Kyle fired his weapon, hitting the alien in the shoulder. The creature collapsed, green fluid leaking from the wound. It was calling for help, Megan said, examining the panel. We need to go. Now. They managed to release Nancy from the stasis pod, but an alarm began to sound throughout the ship. More Kraven would be coming soon. As they carried the semi-conscious historian from the ship, Jack realized they had gained something precious: knowledge. The Kraven thought humans were extinct. They were collectors, not conquerors. And they were expecting reinforcements in 3 months. Back at the colony's hidden command center, Nancy Carter slowly regained consciousness. Olivia checked her vital signs while Jack, Kyle, and Megan reported their findings to Susan and the others. They call themselves the Kraven, Jack explained. They believe humans are extinct throughout the galaxy. We're like rare animals to them. Susan paced the small room. And more of them are coming in 3 months. A fleet, Kyle confirmed. The scout ships are just collectors. When they don't report back, the Kraven will send warships. The room fell silent as the colonists absorbed this news. For 50 years, they had survived on their forgotten world, only to face extinction now. Nancy stirred on her cot. The symbols, she said weakly. I saw them in the ship. They reminded me of something. Jack brought her water. Rest now. We'll talk later. Peter was examining the data from Jack's tablet. I think I can use this to improve our translator. If we can communicate better, maybe we can reason with them. They don't want to reason, Kyle said harshly. They want to collect us like specimens. Amy spoke up from her communication station. I've been monitoring their signals. The main ship is calling for the missing scouts. When they get no response, they send out more. Susan made a decision. We need 2 things: better defenses and a way to call for help. Jack looked up. But our long-range array is destroyed. Then we build something new, Susan said firmly. We have alien technology now. We have 3 months. We use everything we have. Over the next few days, the colonists worked tirelessly. Peter and Megan studied the disruption device, making improvements that extended its range. Kyle trained anyone who could hold a weapon, creating small resistance units that could strike quickly and retreat into the tunnels. Jack and Nancy spent hours with the colony's archives, looking for any information that might help them understand the Kraven better. Here, Nancy said one evening, pointing to an ancient text on her screen. The symbols match patterns found in pre-colonial Earth languages. There are similarities to Sumerian pictographs. Jack studied the comparison. You think the Kraven visited Earth before? In ancient times? Maybe, Nancy said. Or maybe they studied humans long before they thought we went extinct. These symbols refer to collection, preservation, and value. Their work was interrupted by alarms. Above ground, 3 more scout ships had landed. The Kraven were expanding their search area, moving closer to the hidden tunnels. In the improvised workshop, Peter and Megan had made a breakthrough. Using parts salvaged from the captured scout ship, they had created portable disruptors that could be carried by resistance fighters. We have 5 working units, Megan explained to Susan. Each one can disable Kraven armor within 20 feet. Susan nodded. Good work. Now we need to test them in the field. Kyle selected his best fighters for the mission. They would target a scout ship, disable the Kraven inside, and bring back more technology. I want to go, Jack said. Kyle shook his head. You're too valuable. Your knowledge of the archives and the alien language is irreplaceable. But Jack insisted. I understand their technology better than anyone except Peter and Megan. You need me. Reluctantly, Kyle agreed. The team prepared to move out at nightfall. Before they left, Jack visited the communications center where Amy worked. Any progress on reaching beyond our atmosphere? Amy shook her head. The Kraven are jamming standard frequencies. But I found something interesting. She showed him a display of energy readings. Their ships communicate using quantum entanglement. If we could tap into that system, we could send a message instantly across any distance, Jack finished. Even to Earth, if anyone's still there. Exactly, Amy said. But we'd need access to their main ship's communication array. Jack's mind raced with the possibilities. If Earth still existed, if humanity had survived whatever the Kraven thought had destroyed them, they might have a chance. As night fell, Jack joined Kyle's team at the tunnel exit. Each fighter carried a disruptor and makeshift weapons. Their faces were grim but determined. Susan addressed them before they left. Remember, we need technology and information. Avoid killing if possible, but come back alive at all costs. New Horizon depends on you. Jack checked his disruptor one last time. 3 months until the Kraven fleet arrived. 3 months to find a way to save the last human colony, or to prove that humanity wasn't as extinct as the Kraven believed. The raid team moved silently through the night, keeping to shadows as they approached the nearest scout ship. Jack stayed close to Kyle, disruptor held ready. Around them, 8 other colonists crept forward, each carrying makeshift weapons alongside their new technology. 3 guards, Kyle whispered, pointing to the Kraven patrolling around the vessel. Standard pattern. They circle every 5 minutes. Jack nodded. The aliens were predictable, which was their weakness. They didn't expect resistance from what they considered an endangered species. Kyle gave the signal, and the team split into 3 groups. Jack went with Kyle toward the ship's entry ramp, while the others positioned themselves to handle the guards. A soft hum filled the air as the disruptors activated. One by one, the Kraven guards stumbled and fell as their armor systems failed. The colonists rushed forward, binding the aliens with strong cable. Clear, Kyle called softly. Move in. Inside the scout ship, Jack headed straight for the communications array. This vessel was larger than the last one they'd entered, with more complex systems. While Kyle and the others searched for captive colonists, Jack connected his tablet to the alien console. Found something, he said after several minutes. Looks like a star chart. The display showed hundreds of systems, with certain planets marked in red. Jack downloaded the data, hoping Amy could make sense of it. Jack. Kyle's urgent voice came from deeper in the ship. You need to see this. Jack hurried to join him. Kyle stood before a large view screen showing what appeared to be another Kraven ship, much larger than the scout vessels. It's already on its way, Kyle said grimly. They're not waiting 3 months. Jack studied the information scrolling beside the image. No, this is different. It's not their fleet. He pointed to symbols that Nancy had identified. This is a trader ship, coming to collect specimens. Before they could process this new information, alarms blared throughout the vessel. The Kraven on the ground had managed to send a distress signal. Everyone out, Kyle ordered. Grab what you can. The team fled the ship, carrying pieces of alien technology and data storage devices. As they escaped into the night, the sky lit up with energy beams from the main Kraven ship. The scout vessel they had just raided exploded in flames. Back in the tunnel system, Susan called an emergency meeting. Jack and Amy worked frantically to decode the star charts, while Peter and Megan examined the new technology the team had recovered. The good news, Jack announced as the colony leaders gathered, is that the Kraven main fleet isn't arriving for 3 months as we thought. The bad news is that a trader vessel is coming in just 10 days to collect the specimens they've gathered. How big is this trader ship? Susan asked. Amy projected an image based on the data they'd recovered. About 3 times the size of the current ship in orbit. More heavily armed, but not a warship. And after that comes the fleet, Kyle added. We need a plan for both. Nancy had been studying the Kraven language files. The trader ship presents both danger and opportunity. If we could capture it, we might have a vessel capable of reaching nearby systems. Peter looked up from the alien device he was examining. I might have something. He held up a small metallic sphere. This contains quantum entanglement particles. The Kraven use them to communicate instantly across space. If we could reconfigure it to broadcast on old Earth frequencies, we could send a distress call, Jack finished, not just to nearby systems, but potentially all the way to Earth itself. If Earth still exists, someone muttered. Susan silenced the doubt with a sharp look. Earth exists until proven otherwise. We are humans of New Horizon, and we will not be collected like specimens. The next days passed in a blur of activity. Peter and Amy worked on the quantum communicator, while Jack and Nancy refined their understanding of the Kraven language. Kyle drilled the growing resistance forces, now armed with 20 functioning disruptors. The plan was dangerous but simple. When the trader ship arrived, they would use their knowledge of Kraven systems to disable it from within. Then they would broadcast their message to the stars. As the deadline approached, Jack found himself standing outside the hidden base, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, the trader was approaching. And perhaps somewhere much further, Earth was listening. Susan joined him, her face etched with worry and hope. "Do you think anyone will hear us?" Jack nodded slowly. "I have to believe they will. Humanity doesn't go extinct easily." The day of the trader ship's arrival came too quickly. Dawn broke over New Horizon with an eerie red glow as the colony prepared for their most desperate gamble yet. Final checks, Susan ordered as the resistance team gathered in the command center. "Peter, is the quantum communicator ready?" Peter nodded, dark circles under his eyes from days without proper sleep. "It's programmed to broadcast on old Earth emergency frequencies. If anyone's listening, they'll hear us. And if no one's listening," someone asked. "Then we fight anyway," Kyle said firmly. "For New Horizon." Jack checked his equipment one last time. He would lead the team responsible for accessing the trader ship's communication array. Megan would handle disabling the ship's weapons, while Kyle's group would free any captured colonists. Amy's voice came urgently over the comm system. "Something's happening. The main Kraven ship is moving." Everyone rushed to the monitors. The alien vessel that had been in orbit for days was changing position, turning its weapons toward the planet's atmosphere. "Are they attacking?" Susan asked. Jack studied the readouts. "No, they're clearing a path. The trader must be arriving." Minutes later, sensors detected a new ship entering the atmosphere. It was massive, nearly 3 times larger than the first Kraven vessel, with a bulbous shape resembling an enormous dark jellyfish. "It's landing close to the main ship," Amy reported, "about 7 miles from our position." Susan faced the gathered colonists. "This is it. Everyone knows their roles. Stay in communication, and remember, we're fighting for our future." The teams moved out through different tunnel exits, using the colony's scattered farm buildings as cover. Jack led his group of 5 toward the landing site, each person carrying a disruptor and the tools needed to access the alien systems. They reached the ridge overlooking the landing zone just as the trader ship settled onto the ground. A massive loading ramp extended from its side, and smaller Kraven vessels began ferrying containers between the two ships. "Those containers," Jack whispered, using binoculars to see more clearly. "They hold our people." Beside him, Megan adjusted her disruptor. "Let's get them back." They waited for Kyle's team to get into position on the opposite side of the landing zone. The plan relied on precise timing. Both teams would strike simultaneously, creating confusion while Peter's group approached with the quantum communicator. Jack's comm unit crackled. "In position," Kyle reported. "Ready on your mark." Before Jack could respond, something unexpected happened. The sky above them filled with brilliant light. For a moment, Jack thought the Kraven had spotted them, but the aliens seemed just as surprised, their movements becoming erratic. A new ship appeared above the clouds, sleek and silver, bearing markings Jack hadn't seen in 50 years. "Is that?" Megan breathed, not daring to finish her thought. The symbol on the hull was unmistakable. The United Earth Fleet insignia. The Earth ship didn't hesitate. Precision weapons fire disabled the smaller Kraven vessels first, then targeted the trader ship's engines. The main Kraven vessel attempted to return fire, but was hit with multiple energy blasts that left it listing to one side. "All teams hold position," Susan ordered through the comm. "Do not reveal yourselves yet." A smaller craft detached from the Earth vessel, descending rapidly toward the surface. It landed between the disabled Kraven ships, its ramp extending to reveal figures in combat armor. Jack felt tears forming in his eyes. The armor was human design, advanced beyond anything New Horizon had, but recognizable nonetheless. The lead figure removed her helmet, revealing a woman with dark skin and close-cropped hair. She scanned the area with practiced efficiency before speaking into a communicator on her wrist. "Captain Diana Wells to New Horizon Colony. If you can hear me, you're now under United Earth Fleet protection. We've been looking for you for a very long time." Kyle's voice came over the comm, thick with emotion. Did Earth come looking for us after all? Jack watched as more Earth soldiers secured the area around the Kraven ships. "They never forgot us," he whispered. "They never gave up." Susan's voice was steady despite the miracle unfolding before them. "Jack, take your team down there. Make contact. The rest of us will stand by." Jack stood, no longer hiding. "Let's go meet our rescue party," he said, leading his team down the ridge toward a reunion 50 years in the making. Jack led his team down the slope toward Captain Diana Wells and her Earth soldiers. His heart pounded with each step. After 50 years of isolation, Earth had returned. "Move slowly," Jack told his team. "Keep your hands visible." Captain Wells watched their approach, her stance alert but not threatening. When they were 20 feet away, she raised her hand. "Identify yourselves," she called. Jack stepped forward. "Jack Nelson, engineer and historian of New Horizon Colony. We've been here for 50 years. Diana's face softened slightly. 50 years, longer than we thought. We lost contact after the great solar storm of 2096. It knocked out half our deep space network." More colonists emerged from hiding, approaching cautiously. Susan joined Jack, her eyes fixed on the Earth ship hovering above. "I'm Susan Wright, colony leader," she said. "How did you find us?" "We never stopped looking," Diana explained. "Earth thought this colony was lost, but we kept sending probes to this sector. 3 months ago, one detected unusual energy signatures. Then we intercepted Kraven communications about finding humans." Kyle approached with his team, watching as Earth soldiers secured the Kraven ships and freed the captured colonists from their containers. "You know the Kraven?" Kyle asked. Diana nodded grimly. "We've been fighting them for 20 years. They're collectors and traders of endangered species. When they thought humans were extinct, we became their most valuable commodity." "Extinct?" Susan asked. "But there are billions of humans on Earth." "Not anymore," Diana said. "Earth was attacked a century ago. We survived, but our population was reduced. We rebuilt, expanded to other star systems. Humanity now spans 37 worlds across 12 star systems." Jack struggled to process this information. "The Kraven told us Earth was destroyed." "They believed it was," Diana explained. "They attacked Earth with their main fleet, but we defeated them. They've been hunting surviving human outposts ever since, not knowing how much we've recovered and advanced." Over the next few hours, Earth soldiers helped secure the colony. Medical teams treated the rescued colonists while engineers examined New Horizons' infrastructure. Jack accompanied Diana to the colony's command center, where she set up a communication link with her ship. "General Andrews, we've secured the colony," Diana reported. "All colonists accounted for. 2 Kraven vessels disabled." The holographic image of an older man appeared. "Well done, Captain. The fleet will arrive within 48 hours to establish a permanent defensive position. The Kraven won't take kindly to losing 2 ships." "Sir," Diana said, "the colonists were preparing their own defense. They have functioning disruptors and had already captured a scout ship. They've survived alone for 50 years. The general looked impressed. "Then they'll be valuable additions to our forces. The Kraven believe humans are easy prey. New Horizon proves otherwise. Later that evening, the colonists gathered in the main square for the first time in weeks. Earth soldiers had confirmed the area was secure, and temporary defense systems had been established around the perimeter. Jack stood with Susan, watching as colonists met their rescuers, sharing stories and marveling at how each had survived. "What happens now?" Susan asked Diana, who had joined them. "That's up to you," Diana replied. "You can return to Earth or any human world, or we can help rebuild New Horizon, make it stronger. This colony would make an excellent forward base against the Kraven." Jack looked around at the only home he had known for decades. "We built something here. I don't want to abandon it." Susan nodded. "Neither do I. But we can't stay isolated anymore. We need to reconnect with humanity." As night fell, Jack climbed to his favorite spot on the colony's water tower. From there, he could see both the Earth ship and the disabled Kraven vessels. The stars above seemed different now, no longer distant and unreachable points of light, but possible destinations. Diana found him there, gazing at the sky. "Beautiful night," she said, joining him. "They told us no one would come," Jack said quietly. "For 50 years, we believed we were alone." Diana looked up at the stars. "Humanity doesn't abandon its own. It just sometimes takes us a while to find our way back." In the distance, more lights appeared in the sky. The approaching Earth fleet coming to secure New Horizon permanently. Jack watched them grow closer, no longer afraid of ships coming from the sky. They had thought no one would come. They had been wrong.